We have some more damning emails in the WikiLeaks documents from over the weekend. This is an exchange between New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, Neera Tanden of the Center for American Progress, and, of course, Hillary's campaign, and John Podesta's aides. So it's this big email with all these people in it. Now, the first thing sent is de Blasio sends a plan laying out progressive priorities moving forward. And Neera Tanden responded with this, quote, "Substantively, we have not supported $15 minimum wage. You will get a fair number of liberal economists who will say it will lose jobs. Most of the rest seems fine. Obviously, trade sticks out. Politically, we are not getting any pressure to join this from our end. I leave it to you guys to judge what that means for you, but I'm not sweating it." Man, these emails really expose that the DNC and the Democratic establishment insiders are exactly what we thought they were all along. I mean, they don't care about progressive priorities. Certainly Neera Tanden doesn't. I mean, look at what she said there. Well, look, we haven't supported $15. That's true. Hillary supported $12 minimum wage. And then she says, well, you know, it might cost jobs, and we don't agree with the trade part either, because obviously they're more pro-trade than what the actual Democratic base is. And then, look, we're not getting any pressure to join this, so effectively, why would we? Now, that should be noted that at that time, there was the Fight for 15 protest going on all around the country. Thousands of people marching in the streets. And Neera Tanden's like, well, we're not getting any pressure on the $15 minimum wage. Okay, this shows that you have to force the party and drag the party left. They're not going to go willingly. This is a Democratic establishment insider. Like, I don't know, we're not feeling pressure on it, so what are we going to do? No. You can do what you want in terms of being on board with these priorities or not, but I'm not sweating it. Okay, so actually one more thing on that real fast before I continue here in the emails. When it comes to the minimum wage, I actually have a different idea than any of the ideas that have been floated. And so my whole thing is, well, it's obviously the case that in rural Wyoming, what a living wage is there is wildly different than what a living wage is in New York City. So in rural Wyoming, I'm not kidding when I say it might be $8 an hour, where that's a living wage. Whereas try to live on $8 an hour in New York City, it's just impossible. You can't. That's not a living wage. So my idea has always been, my favorite idea has been on the minimum wage, federal legislation that mandates a living wage in each individual state. And even if you can even go more specific than that. And I know it gets really kooky and strange and hard, but you could even do it by county or something like that. So it might be the case that if you go to rural Kentucky or Montana, that the living wage and what the minimum wage is $8 an hour. But in LA and in New York, it might be $23 an hour. So I'm in favor of both a higher minimum wage in many instances and a lower minimum wage. Whatever a living wage is in each individual place is what the minimum wage should be. That's always been my take on it. So I actually don't disagree. It's not a crazy thing for her to say and for other liberal economists to say, yeah, well, 15 might cause job loss in certain places. Again, if you go to South Carolina in the country, they're going to be like, yeah, I run a fucking small sandwich shop that gets 12 customers a week. I can't afford to pay somebody $15 an hour. So that's actually true. But the thing is, the other ideas that it's connected to in the case of Neera Tanden is the problem. The fact that it's viewed, that she's looking down on the progressive base, and it's condescending to the progressive base, and it's kind of letting everybody know, like, well, obviously we don't agree with the rabble. Like, we're above that. Okay, and it gets worse. So you ready for this? Clinton senior aide Jake Sullivan replied to this. So there's one of Clinton's senior aides here. said John Podesta and the Red Army want to support $15 an hour. One of Hillary Clinton's top aides saying, oh, you guys want $15 an hour? Fucking Red Army. Wait. More. Then Tandon said, and when you say Red Army, you mean the base of the Democratic Party, right? With a little smiley face. Just want to be clear here. They're joking around about the base of the Democratic Party being communists. Because that's how they view you. Did you support Bernie Sanders? You're just a fucking commie. Yeah, a commie, irrational. You know, I want to pay everybody the exact same. You know, you want to pay the janitor and the CEO the same because you're crazy, kooky communists. State control of everything. That's not a thing. Like, that's what fucking year are you living in? You think this is 1953? No. If you listen to what Bernie Sanders and his people say, if you listen to what the base of the Democratic Party says, they're by far and away the most reasonable people in the country. Because what do they argue for? All they want is people to have a living wage and us to have universal health care like every other modern nation on the planet, and us to have universal education. All they want is equal opportunity. All they want is to stop invading everywhere on the planet. We have had 7 interventions under Obama, who's supposed to be a liberal Democrat. This is all they want, man. This is all they want. They just want you to regulate Wall Street. They just want you to have the rich pay their fair share, again, like any other modern nation on the planet. I mean, this is a social democratic movement more than anything else. In other words, it's a mix between socialism and capitalism. I mean, this is what Bernie Sanders wants. All we do is we look at Scandinavia and we go, well, that seems to be the best model because empirically it is when you go by the different categories and you go by the rankings from various studies across the planet. I mean, they say, oh, their quality of life is higher. They self-report being happier than anybody else. Their healthcare ranks better than ours. Their middle class income is better than ours. The list goes on and on, man. It goes on and on. But they mock that. Well, then you're just a fucking communist. If you don't like this cowboy corporatism that we have here, where everybody gets fucked, well, you're just a commie. This is why we hate the DNC. This is why we hate the Democratic establishment. Because you just... It's clearly us versus you. It's clearly the Democratic base versus you. You pretend, you do kabuki theater and pretend to be on our side. We see right through it, man.